Let me ask you something personal. And I mean really personal, something most men don't talk about, even with their closest friends. What if something you've been doing your entire life, something so natural, so normal, and let's be honest, something most of us never questioned, was actually messing with your energy, draining your mood, quietly affecting your prostate, maybe even your confidence. And no one told you. Not your doctor. Not your father. Not your friends. Just silence. Generation after generation. You see, for a lot of older men, these realizations don't hit until later in life, sometimes when it's too late to do much about it. It's not about shame. It's not about guilt. It's about understanding, because without that, we're flying blind. You might be wondering, what's the big deal? It's a private thing. It's harmless, right? Well, that's exactly what today's video is here to explore. Because here's the truth. There are 5 powerful truths about male self-pleasure, 5 secrets, that older men often wish they had known decades ago. They're not what you think. They're not being taught. And in some cases, they've been actively ignored. In this video, we're going to dive into them together, not as some taboo topic, but as a conversation about your health, your mind, your hormones, your confidence, and your legacy. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of what really happens inside the aging male body, and how this simple act, when misunderstood, can slowly chip away at your vitality, one unnoticed moment at a time. So if you've ever felt like something's changed, if your energy isn't quite what it used to be, if your mood dips without reason, if your sleep, your focus, your motivation all seem to be slipping, this might be part of the reason. Stick around. Listen closely. Because this conversation might just be the most important one you didn't know you needed. And hey, if you're here because you're still curious, still learning, still growing, drop a quick comment down below that says, "I'm still learning." Because let's be honest, none of us ever really stop. And if you're new here, welcome to Elderly Wisdom Guide, where we tackle real issues, real questions, and real truths that matter in the second half of life. Go ahead and subscribe. Because every day, we talk about things that most people are too afraid to say out loud. Now, let's get into the first truth. And trust me, this one might just change the way you see your daily habits forever. Let me tell you about Robert. He's 72 now, a retired engineer. Always sharp. Always thoughtful. The kind of man who could fix anything with his hands, except the one thing he didn't see breaking. In his mid-60s, Robert began to notice something strange. He'd wake up already tired. His thoughts felt slower. Like his mind was swimming through molasses. He'd walk into a room and forget why. His body felt heavy, even though he hadn't done anything strenuous. At first, he chalked it up to aging. Then came the naps. Then the afternoon fog. Then the frustration, because nothing he tried seemed to bring his energy back. One day during a routine checkup, his doctor asked a question most men don't expect: "Tell me about your intimate routine." "How often?" Robert was surprised. He shrugged and said, "Same as always. A few times a week. Helps me relax." That's when the conversation took a turn he never anticipated. You see, as we age, especially past the age of 50, our testosterone, the hormone that fuels energy, focus, strength, and vitality, begins to naturally decline. That's not news. But here's the part most men don't know. Frequent ejaculation, especially without proper rest or emotional connection, can further deplete those already limited reserves. It's like this: imagine your energy is a battery. When you're younger, that battery recharges fast. No problem. But as you get older, the charger slows down, and if you keep draining it without letting it recharge, what happens? You crash. But the real danger? You don't crash all at once. You fade. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day, you're not sure where your energy went. And here's the misconception that trips up a lot of men: if I stop, I'll lose function. I need to keep the engine running, right? Not exactly. That engine needs rest. Maintenance. You don't redline a classic car every day and expect it to last, do you? The truth is, for older men, less can be more. It's not about giving it up. It's about giving your body a chance to breathe. Focus on recovery. Hydration. Nutrients. Sleep. Start tuning into how your body feels afterward. If you're noticing fatigue, mental fog, or emotional flatness, it might be time to rethink the frequency. Because energy isn't just about how much you do. It's about how well you restore. And while fatigue can sneak up quietly, there's another effect that often hits even harder. One that creeps in not through your muscles or your bones, but through your heart. Let's talk about that. James is 80 now. Lived a full life, married once, raised 2 boys, served in the Navy, worked construction until his knees gave out. But it's what he shared in a quiet moment. Sitting in his favorite chair, eyes gazing out the window, that stayed with me. He said, "There were times I felt so alone, and I didn't even realize why. I'd do it to pass the time. To feel something. And it worked, for a few minutes. But afterward? I just felt hollow." That's the word he used. Hollow. Not broken. Not ashamed. Just empty. You see, what James was describing wasn't rare. It's something many older men go through, but almost no one talks about. Because when self-pleasure becomes a routine done in isolation, without emotional connection, without intention, it can actually weaken your emotional well-being over time. Here's why: each time you engage, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical. It gives you that temporary high, that quick hit of pleasure. But if that release isn't paired with emotional warmth, connection, love, even the simple act of being seen, it creates a spike, and then a crash. Over time, that crash can lead to emotional numbness. Irritability. Sometimes, even sadness or a creeping sense of disconnection from the world around you. And you don't always notice it at first. It's subtle. Like a slow leak in a tire. And here's where the misconception creeps in: I don't need anyone else. This works just fine. It's better than feeling lonely. But here's the truth: it might be a temporary relief from loneliness. But done too often, especially without human connection, it can deepen that very same loneliness. Like pouring water into a cup with a hole in the bottom. So what's the solution? It's not about stopping completely. It's about balancing that physical release with real emotional connection. A phone call to a friend. A meaningful conversation with someone who knows your story. A few minutes of quiet prayer or reflection. Even volunteering, helping someone else feel seen, can make you feel seen too. Because as you age, emotional intimacy becomes just as vital as physical relief. You don't need a crowd. You just need someone, or something, to connect with. That's where the true nourishment comes from. So next time you feel that urge, ask yourself, what am I really needing right now? Is it touch, or is it tenderness? Is it relief, or is it reassurance? Learning to tell the difference, that's wisdom. And the more you understand that, the more peace you'll find in your own company. Now, let's shift gears. Because while emotional emptiness can drain the spirit, there's another secret that can quietly affect your body, and it targets a part of you that most men don't pay attention to until it's too late: your prostate. Harold was always the picture of steady health. Never smoked. Ate his greens. Walked every morning without fail. But when he turned 75, something changed. He started waking up in the middle of the night, twice, sometimes 3 times, to use the bathroom. The stream was weak. The urge was constant. And the discomfort? He described it as a dull ache, one that didn't go away. When he finally saw his doctor, the diagnosis came back: BPH. Benign prostatic hyperplasia. An enlarged prostate. Harold sat there and said something that stuck with me: no one ever told me it might be linked to what I thought was just a normal habit. See, like many men, Harold had never questioned the role self-pleasure played in his overall health. He assumed it was harmless. Maybe even helpful. And to be fair, he wasn't entirely wrong. Some studies do suggest that moderate ejaculation may support prostate health by helping flush out toxins and reduce buildup. In fact, younger men are often told it can help lower the risk of prostate cancer. But here's where the conversation often stops too soon. As you get older, your body, and especially your prostate, changes. What might have been helpful in your 40 and 50 may have a different effect in your 60, 70, or beyond. For men with a sensitive or already enlarged prostate, frequent stimulation can sometimes worsen inflammation. It can increase urinary urgency, lead to discomfort, and even contribute to that sense of pressure or incomplete emptying that so many older men quietly live with. Yet no one talks about it. No one connects the dots. Because the common belief is, it always protects the prostate. But that's not the full truth. It depends. It depends on how you do it. How often. And at what stage in life you are. And here's the part that matters most: if you're experiencing discomfort, if you're waking up at night, if going to the bathroom feels different than it used to, don't just assume it's part of aging. It might be. But it also might be your body trying to tell you something. Speak to your doctor. Get it checked. Don't suffer in silence. Because early intervention can mean a world of difference in your comfort, confidence, and quality of life. And remember, every man's body is unique. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to prostate health. But what's always true is that ignoring the signs never helps. Now, let's shift from the body to the brain. Because what happens between your ears is just as powerful as what happens between your legs. And in this next secret, we'll explore a lesser-known truth about your brain's chemistry, how it changes with age, and how it affects your long-term satisfaction in ways most men never see coming. Thomas is 68. A kind man with a sharp sense of humor and a love for old blues records. But one day, he said something that cut through the noise: I used to feel satisfied with so little, now, it's like I'm chasing something I can't quite catch anymore. He was talking about pleasure. Not just physical, emotional, sensory, the whole experience. He said he'd find himself needing more stimulation, more time, more intensity, just to feel what used to come so naturally. And you know what? He's not alone. This quiet shift happens to many men as they get older, but they don't always know why. And more importantly, they don't always realize it's connected to their habits. Here's what's really happening: your brain is wired to respond to dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Every time you engage in self-pleasure, especially with heightened stimulation, you get a spike of that dopamine. It feels good, at first. But when it becomes too frequent or too intense, your brain's receptors start to dull. It's called dopamine desensitization. Think of it like turning up the volume on a radio so often that eventually, even full blast doesn't sound loud enough. Your brain stops responding the way it used to. And the things that once brought you joy, like a hug, a song, a beautiful sunrise, or even a shared laugh, can start to feel flat. This isn't just about performance. This is about perception. How your brain processes joy and reward. And the common mistake? Thinking that you need more intense stimulation to fix it. But that's just feeding the cycle. It's like pouring more salt into a dish that's already too salty. So what can you do? You don't have to give it up entirely. But you can give your brain a break. Try short periods of intentional abstinence, not as punishment, but as a way to reset. Let your dopamine levels recalibrate. Add in mindfulness practices, like walking in nature, listening to music with your full attention, or simply sitting still with your thoughts. These small acts help your brain relearn how to appreciate the subtle joys again. And most importantly, lean into emotional connection. Not everything that brings pleasure comes from stimulation. Sometimes, the most fulfilling moments come from simply being close to someone, or being fully present with yourself. You see, real satisfaction doesn't have to fade with age. But it does require you to change your rhythm. To listen a little deeper. To find pleasure in stillness, not just in action. And now, as we come to the final secret, perhaps the one least discussed, but most deeply felt, we're going to talk about something even more personal. Something that lives not in the body. Not even in the brain, but in how you see yourself. Your confidence. Your self-worth. And how those quiet habits you carry into old age can shape them more than you think. Eugene is 76 now. A quiet man, strong in his presence but gentle in how he speaks. We sat one afternoon, just talking, when he said something that stayed with me. I carried shame about it for decades. I wish someone had just told me it was okay to talk about. He was talking about self-pleasure. About something most men start doing when they're young, but rarely ever talk about, especially as they age. And what struck me most wasn't that he did it. It was that for nearly 50 years, he carried a weight of silence and guilt, one that didn't need to be there at all. See, for many older men today, growing up meant growing up with strict silence around sexuality. No conversations. No guidance. Just a quiet message, don't talk about it. Hide it. Feel bad if you do it. And that silence? It grows into something heavier with age. You begin to internalize it. It eats at your confidence. It makes you feel like certain parts of you are wrong, even though they're simply human. And here's the science behind that emotional weight. Unresolved shame has been shown to affect mental health, increase stress hormones, and even weaken immune response. It's not just emotional, it's physical. It can keep you from being honest with your doctor, your partner, or even yourself. You might hesitate to bring up urinary issues, or avoid asking questions about hormone changes, or skip important checkups because part of you still feels embarrassed. And you're not alone. So many men, good, kind, wise men, live with this quiet battle inside. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because no one ever made space for the conversation. Here's the thing, we often assume these talks are only for the young. But in truth, this stage of life is when these conversations matter most. Because your choices now, they influence your well-being, your dignity, your peace. So what can you do? It starts with one small, brave step, a conversation. With a friend. With a trusted doctor. With a therapist, or even, just with yourself, in a journal or a quiet moment. Say what you've never said. Put words to the feelings you've buried. Give yourself the freedom to explore. Not just your body, but your beliefs about it. Because here's what I've learned after years of listening to men like Eugene, shame doesn't belong in your golden years. Wisdom does. Compassion does. Freedom does. You've lived long enough to deserve peace with every part of yourself. And when you release that old shame, you make room for something beautiful, confidence. Not the kind that shouts. But the quiet, steady kind, the kind that lets you look in the mirror and say, I'm okay. I'm whole. I'm still learning. And now that we've uncovered all 5 of these powerful truths, let's take a moment to reflect on what they truly mean, and how they can shape a healthier, more connected path forward. These aren't easy conversations. Let's be honest, it's tough to sit with this stuff. To think back over decades, maybe even a lifetime, of habits, silences, misunderstandings. Of doing what felt natural, and later wondering if it might have carried a deeper cost. It's hard to realize that no one ever gave you the full picture. That some of the choices you made weren't wrong, but they were uninformed. And that can bring up regret, confusion, even sadness. But let me tell you something right now, something you might need to hear more than anything else: you're not too late. You're never too late. Because you're still here. Still learning. Still growing. And every single day you wake up is a chance to look at your body, your habits, your thoughts. And ask, is this still serving me? Is this still right for the man I am today? You're not the same man you were at 25. You're wiser now. More aware. And because of that, you can start making different choices. Better ones. Ones rooted not in guilt or impulse, but in understanding. So maybe today is the day to check in with yourself. To ask the hard questions, gently, without judgment. Am I tired more than I should be? Am I chasing something that never satisfies? Am I ashamed of something I've never truly talked about? If the answer is yes, then talk to someone. A doctor. A therapist. A friend. Or even yourself, in a mirror, a journal, a prayer. There is no shame in seeking clarity. There is strength in choosing to understand yourself, fully. And here's what I want you to hold on to: aging does not mean giving up pleasure. It doesn't mean leaving intimacy behind. It doesn't mean you're broken, or fading, or less of a man. It means something entirely different. It means entering a new chapter, with wisdom. With patience. With power. This stage of life gives you the unique gift of seeing clearly. Of choosing not just what feels good, but what feels right for your body, your mind, and your heart. You've earned that. You've lived through storms and sunshine. And now? Now you have the chance to live the rest of your days in deeper peace with yourself. So take it. You don't need to carry confusion, shame, or silence anymore. Let it go. And make space for the man you are now, full of experience, full of value, and still full of potential. So, let's take a moment to bring it all together. These are the 5 secrets, quiet truths, that so many older men look back on and wish they'd known sooner. Number 1, energy drain from overfrequency. Your body isn't what it used to be. And that's not a weakness, it's a reality. Learning how to manage your energy instead of depleting it is one of the wisest things you can do. Number 2, emotional disconnect. What we do with our bodies affects our minds. And sometimes, what seems like harmless habit can leave us feeling empty, isolated, or numb. You deserve connection, not just release. Number 3, prostate impacts. This one catches so many off guard. What you thought was helping could, in some cases, be making things worse. Listening to your body and asking the right questions matters, more than ever. Number 4, dopamine desensitization. When everything gets overstimulated. Even the beautiful, simple things in life can start to lose their flavor. Sometimes, pulling back helps you feel more, not less. And number 5, shame and silence. This is the heavy one. The one many carry deep inside. But here's the truth, talking about it doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. Understanding these 5 lessons can be the difference between just aging, and aging well. Aging with clarity. With emotional peace. With the kind of freedom that comes when you finally stop hiding from yourself. Now, let me ask you something: which of these stood out to you most? Which one surprised you? Made you stop and think? Share it in the comments, because when you speak up, it gives someone else the courage to do the same. Let's open the door to real, honest conversation. You never know who you might help by simply sharing your story. And if this video gave you something to think about, if it felt like a real talk that you didn't even know you needed, then go ahead and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. We're not about gimmicks. We're about truth, growth, and living these later years with the respect and care they truly deserve. So thank you for being here, for listening, for caring enough to understand yourself on a deeper level. Your curiosity, your openness, your willingness to keep learning, it all matters. You matter. Stay strong. Stay wise. And I'll see you in the next video.